We all know the infamous D-Rex from Jurassic World Rebirth, the ultimate villain, a monster of pure destruction. But what if we got it all wrong? What if the rampage wasn't born of malice, but of something far more, well, human, rather than dinosaur? Because in one scene in Jurassic World Rebirth, we can actually see the D-Rex crying. Now, at first glance, I totally missed this, but then watching it back, it started to get me thinking, and it started to get me seeing the D-Rex in a whole new light. Why would this genetically modified mutant be crying? And then it got me thinking of something the director actually said. Gareth Edwards wanted us to feel sorry for the D-Rex, but in the movie we didn't really see this at all. There was no scenes which actually made me feel sorry for the D-Rex, apart from this one scene which was completely glossed over where we seen it have tears in his eyes. But just from this one scene, I've deduced an entire theory on the D-Rex, its backstory, its upbringing, the abuse it suffered, and everything else in between up until the point where it escapes and then was left abandoned on that island for what, 15 years or so? You see, there's far more going on with this D-Rex than meets the eye, and it first starts with its creation. We know the flashback scene takes place in 2010. At this point, Jurassic World has been operational for 5 years. The Scorpius Rex was also already made, because the Scorpius Rex was made in 2009. So this D-Rex would have been made what? When they first opened Jurassic World in 2005/6. That would give it time to grow into its current state in 2010. And I know I'm going to stop you before we get any further, because you could say to me, well, the D-Rex was actually a mutant at their attempt to make a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That just doesn't make sense. They already have a Tyrannosaurus Rex in Rexy. She was cloned in what, the late 1980s? And was already in Jurassic World at that point? They didn't need to clone another one. They could have literally just taken Rexy's DNA if they needed to clone one from scratch. They weren't making another T-Rex from scratch. That's completely wrong. This D-Rex was a mutant of something else, which leads into the crying, which I'll come back to in a second. You see, you have to remember, why didn't InGen just simply put this D-Rex out of his misery? Well, the movie tells us that answer immediately. They literally say that because these dinosaurs are so expensive, why would they just put it out of its misery? It wouldn't happen. So instead, they decide to experiment on this mutant, which is tragic in itself. Now, as I said earlier, the director Gareth Edwards wanted us to feel sorry for this beast. This was never portrayed in the movie at all, but in the toy line, when the D-Rex actually does a roar, it seems to do like a big shake, as if it's in pain when it's roaring. All the tumors in its body are causing a significant pain, hence why we see it do this weird shake when it roars. That would have been fantastic to include in the movie, but we don't see that anyway. We don't build that emotional connection. It then started to get me thinking, is the D-Rex actually in pain, hence the reason for the tears? I mean, that would make sense, right? But then we're forgetting something crucial here. We only really ever see tears in humans, that level of emotion from pain. We very rarely see it in animals. Does this mean then that the D-Rex had a heightened level of intelligence from something? Not from the Tyrannosaurus Rex DNA, but from something else. We know that during Jurassic World, the raptors featured there are highly intelligent, even in Jurassic Park, problem-solving intelligent, as Robert Muldoon says. Could it be that they experimented on this D-Rex with other cloning technology? Let's look at this rebirth lab. In there, we see several other different species, mutants themselves. At this point though, we know they've perfected genomes of several dinosaurs. They're in Jurassic World, so they're not making dinosaurs as such, and these dinosaurs are mutating going into something else. That's completely false. They also have the Scorpius Rex in 2009. I think these dinosaurs were the first attempts at hybrid technology, before the Indominus. This is what the D-Rex basically was. Regardless what they say, oh, it's a mutant, it's that, it's this, it's clearly not. Just following the timeline alone will give you that information. You don't need to say it anymore. Which brings me back to why it was crying in the first place. You see, they never terminated the D-Rex. They decided to keep it around for further experimentation into their hybrid projects which were coming up in Jurassic World. Think back to the flashback scene, it was 2010. Indominus escapes in 2015. So between that 5-year gap, they were probably planning on using this D-Rex for further experimentation. You see, for it to grow to the size it was already at in 2010, it was likely around a good few years prior to that. And you could only imagine the type of torture and suffering and experiments it underwent in that lab. All we know of its genetic makeup is that the base genome is a T-Rex. You can literally see that. But everything else seems to be one giant tumor. Them tumors wrapping around the bones, the muscles, causing excruciating pain. Not to mention all the scientists probably injecting it with God knows what into his system, causing even further pain. Experimental drugs, experimental DNA, human DNA potentially, because let's face it, it's eventually gonna go down that route. We know the military were involved in this island. Wait, Shadows, how were the military involved? Well, Well, I did a full breakdown in one of my other videos, but just to get to the chase really quickly, we know a military helicopter is seen in the trees. Why was a military helicopter on this island? We know Masrani Global had a military division, the InGen Security Division. They were probably developing military technology, weapons. We already know Hoskins during Jurassic World wanted to militarize dinosaurs. The chances are this research base in 2010 was probably doing just that, finding ways and applications to use these dinosaurs, this gene technology, for military applications. Hence why the military was probably involved. They were probably their highest investor. Coupled with all the other experimental dinosaurs we didn't even see in the lab. We've seen the Mutodon, but you're telling me there's just that? No other experimental dinosaurs? We obviously seen all the other ones in the tubes, the baby ones, which didn't make it, but I'm pretty sure a facility of that size will house several different types of experiments and dinosaurs, which brings me back to the D-Rex. I know you're probably thinking by now the D-Rex's tears were caused by pain because of all the genetic mutation, the tumors. I believe that a factor, yes, but again, you'd also need a level of intelligence to see them tears. I mean, we like to think every animal feels the same level of emotion as us, but it just doesn't happen out in the wild. You see a gazelle getting attacked by a lion, you don't see it crying, do you? It just doesn't happen. Unless you're Blue in Fallen Kingdom. I'm not going to let that go. But here's the thing. I do believe the D-Rex has a level of intelligence. This is why it stays around the center of the island. We don't see it anywhere else on the island apart from the center, the lab. And in fact, the first time we get a glimpse of it after the fall in 2010 is literally in its original enclosure. It walks by the door. There's a reason it's staying so close to the center of the island. We know it's drawn to light. So it could be staying in the center of the island because it has lights there. It associates the lights with food, warmth, safety, home. But what happens if we flip this on the head? I mean, what if the tears didn't actually come from pain, but came from being overly sensitive to the light source? Let's say it's not physically attracted to the light, it just wants to remove the source of the light. Hence why it's always drawn to it, to douse it out. It does exactly the same thing with the car, does the same thing with the flare. And that's when we actually see the tears, when the lights of the car are flashing directly in the D-Rex's eyes. Sure, it's bright, so you could say that the lights flashing in his eyes literally would make his eyes water, but yes, photosensitive, coupled with the fact that it's probably intelligent to some degree, either to the mixture of the genomes, experimentation, them injecting it with human DNA to see how that reacts, potentially causing the mutation in the first place. But let's bring it back for a second, back to the very start. The entire purpose of this animal, just like Gareth Edwards said, was to make you feel sorry for the animal. So thinking of that, thinking of the tears, what would make you feel sorry for this animal? That is in pain. It can't do anything about its situation. It didn't ask to be where it was. It was experimented on, hurt numerous times. And to top it all off, it's actually photosensitive to the light. It wants to be rid of it, and then it's constantly being chased, harassed, shined light in its eyes. These humans have come into its habitat, and this is how we are treating it. I mean, it's the only one of its species, it has no parents. How would you feel? I'm pretty sure you'd feel a little bit sad as well. It's been left abandoned, forgotten about on this island for nearly 2 decades. And then when people do show up, they just want to kill it. I'd be pretty upset too. Coupled with all the tumorous and cancer growths all over its body, it's got a horrible life. And for me, that's the real reason why it's crying. And it probably read all the hate comments about it online and on my videos. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because that will really cheer the D-Rex up. Do it right now. Go on. There you go. He's already got a smile on his face. But there's one thing which I've totally missed in this video, and that is, how did the D-Rex actually escape its initial enclosure? We know that both doors were locked after it ate that man. And not only that, what bit and ripped the Dunkleosaurus in half? All these videos and the answers are on my channel. Go and watch them now. Massive thanks to the InGen security team, which are on screen now. DVM Wannabe 1018, Hammer Time, and Lily. And let's not forget our Jurassic CEO, Joseph Frost Ghost. Thanks, guys. And if you came across the D-Rex out in the open, could your day go any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.